Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the absolute most fascinating figures in the history of international sports. But we're not just going to look at MS Dhoni as a cricketer today. Instead, let's deconstruct him as a biological supercomputer. We're going to completely unpack the human software that literally redefined the physics of leadership and the geometry of finishing matches. It's a completely serious question, right? In the incredibly volatile, high-pressure world of international sports, what is it that makes his brain function so differently from standard athletes? While most players completely crash under the weight of a billion expectations, MS Dhoni just seems to run on an entirely different framework. How exactly does he maintain total stability when the whole stadium is just in a state of sheer panic? Okay, let's dive right into this. Think about a standard elite athlete. They're basically operating on an emotion-based OS. In the final over of a tense match, their heart rate spikes anywhere between 160 and 180 beats per minute, and because of that, their decision-making latency lags. But then, you have the Dhoni logic engine. Even in the tightest, most stressful run chases, his heart rate stays perfectly regulated between 110 and 125 BPM, and his decision-making latency? It drops to less than 0.15 seconds. It's just a completely different physiological state. We call this the Dhoni code. It's essentially a logic-first algorithm. When 30,000 fans are screaming, a normal player hears overwhelming, crushing pressure. But Dhoni's mind? It treats that roaring stadium simply as static noise. He just filters it out entirely so he can execute pure, probability-based maneuvers with basically zero latency. So, moving on to Section 1, hardware and biomechanics, the physical specs of a human supercomputer. 0.08 seconds. And no, that is absolutely not a typo. That is MS Dhoni's stumping reaction time. To put that crazy number into perspective for a second, the average human eye blink takes between 0.1 and 0.4 seconds. So his hands are literally moving faster than you can blink. And this brilliantly illustrates that gap. While a standard wicketkeeper takes about 0.40 seconds to react and dislodge the bails, Dhoni is getting it done in 0.08. How is that even possible? Well, he bypasses human latency. Standard keepers catch the ball by absorbing it. They move their hands backward. Dhoni, on the other hand, uses a forward catch kinetic motion. His hands actually move with the ball toward the stumps. He's creating a biomechanical short circuit. This hardware optimization was on full display during that legendary 2016 T20 World Cup match against Bangladesh. Remember that? Bangladesh needed 2 runs off 1 ball. A throw from the outfield might miss. So Dhoni initiates this 3-step logic gate. First, target deconstruction. Second, glove removal. This is basically a real-time software patch that sensor data shows saves exactly 0.22 seconds of grip to release transition time. And third, when the batsman misses, sprint. Dhoni hits a velocity of 28 kilometers per hour to run the batsman out himself. Pure, calculated logic completely overriding standard cricketing instinct. And his hardware isn't just about speed, right? It generates immense power. 112. That's the distance in meters of his iconic 2012 six against Australia in Adelaide. And he hit that off a delivery most batters would honestly just be trying to survive. That specific hit, and of course his famous helicopter shot, are essentially kinetic bug fixes. Traditional coaching manuals will tell you to defend a Yorker. Well, Dhoni just rewrote the manual. By clearing his front leg and using maximum bottom hand torque combined with a 360-degree bat rotation, he converted defensive block hole deliveries into 112-meter maximums. He completely bypassed traditional form for functional physics. Let's move to Section 2, the tactical software. Reprogramming the game with bold, logic-first decisions. Just take a look at this track record of unorthodox tactical updates. Handing the final over of the 2007 T20 World Cup to the very inexperienced Joginder Sharma, setting a wildly suffocating 8-1 offside field against Australia in 2008, making the incredibly unpopular call to drop batting legends just to upgrade the team's fielding capabilities, opening the bowling with a spinner, Ashwin, to neutralize Chris Gale in the 2011 IPL final, and promoting Rohit Sharma to opener in 2013. Guys, these were not gambles. They were algorithmic outputs based strictly on pitch conditions, field geometry, and player psychology. And the logic was so rock solid that even his opponents recognized it. Misbah-ul Haq, the very batsman facing that terrifying final over in 2007, later admitted he knew Dhoni couldn't bowl a spinner with that short boundary. Joginder was the mathematically correct, terrifyingly logical choice. Dhoni saw the exact same matrix Misbah did, and he executed it flawlessly. Now, what's really interesting here is this staggering 95% success rate. That is Dhoni's actual accuracy when utilizing the decision review system. Fans don't call it the Dhoni review system for nothing. So why is he rarely wrong? Well, it comes right back to that biological supercomputer concept. Dhoni is calculating the sound-to-impact acoustic latency, which means he is processing audio data faster than the TV replays can to know if a ball hit the pad or the bat first. Combine that with the fact that he's squatting right at the eye level of the stumps for perfect 3D trajectory mapping, and his brain is literally processing the physics of the delivery faster and more accurately than the multi-million-dollar technology itself. But perhaps his absolute greatest tactical calculation was the 2011 World Cup final. Sehwag and Sachin fall early. The system is visibly crashing. So what does Dhoni do? He overrides the preset lineup, promoting himself ahead of an incredibly informed Yuvraj Singh. Why? It wasn't ego. It was pure logic. His personal software was perfectly coded to counter the off-spin of Murelatharan. He engineers a 109-run stabilizing partnership with Gambhir and then finishes the whole thing off with that iconic six. It was a complete system reboot on the world's biggest possible stage. Which brings us to Section 3, the emotional firewall, filtering noise and preventing system crashes under pressure. The absolutely crucial point here is how his leadership processing actively shields his players. You see, while conventional captains often show visible panic during a crisis, Dhoni maintains this absolute unwavering stoicism. When the team wins, conventional captains are usually front and center for the photos. Dhoni, he utilizes a background exit strategy. He literally hands the trophy to the youngest players and steps entirely out of the frame. And he bases his player trust not on short-term stats, but on long-term potential. This emotional firewall means his players can go out and execute their skills without the fear of failure corrupting their performance. A perfect example of this emotional intelligence in action was the 2013 Champions Trophy final. England was absolutely cruising. Ishant Sharma had been really expensive that day, and statistically speaking, giving him the ball again was a massive system error. But Dhoni bypassed the stats. He detected a high-frequency focus in Ishant's body language. He overrode the hard data with emotional intuition, trusted his player, and Ishant delivered 2 massive match-winning wickets. And this emotional stability is fiercely protected by how he manages his environment. Unlike standard athletes today who are constantly seeking instant validation through a massive social media presence, Dhoni totally embraces the digital void. He utilizes scarcity. By staying off the grid, he deletes his ego to protect his cognitive energy. He absolutely refuses to waste his precious processing power on external validation, and it pays off immensely on the field. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into his open-source legacy, transitioning from master processor to system architect. You know, the deprecation phase of any major software is usually the hardest part, but Dhoni executed it perfectly. From 2007 to 2016, he was the main processor, leading right from the front. Then in 2017, we saw a voluntary downgrade. He smoothly handed the administrative rights over to Virat Kohli without even a hint of ego. From 2017 to 2019, he became the silent guide, setting fields from behind the stumps just to assist Kohli. And now, in the IPL era, he is purely the system architect, taking raw, unpolished talent like Matisha Patharana and mentoring them into elite performers. What all this means is that his code is now open source. When you watch a cricket match today, you are essentially watching the Dhoni simulation running globally. Modern finishers all over the world are executing his algorithm. They're taking chases deep into the final 6 balls, they're launching targeted assaults on the weakest bowlers in the death overs, they're generating power from wrist work, and most importantly, they're striving to create that zero-panic organizational culture. The software has officially outgrown the hardware. If there is one philosophy that summarizes this entire explainer, it's this incredibly powerful concept derived from his long career. Pressure doesn't break you, it only reveals the bugs in your coding. Dhoni proved time and time again that if your internal operating system is calm, external pressure is really just another variable to be calculated. Which leaves us with this final thought. You don't have to be facing a 150-kilometer-per-hour delivery to actually benefit from this. Whether you're sitting in a boardroom or just navigating your daily life, how can you filter out the noise? How can you prioritize pure logic over emotion to upgrade your own high-pressure decision-making? Think about how you can install the Dhoni code in your own life today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hey, everyone.